Welcome back to PlayStation Corner. My name is Alex and today we're going to be taking a look at 5 games available for the PS4 and PS5 that just scare the absolute shit out of me, plain and simple. This one, it's basically going to be for you horror fans out there, so hit subscribe, join our growing PlayStation family, and let's get started. So kicking us off then, we've got Maid of Scare. I just finished the PS5 edition of this title. It was actually the inspiration behind this video. It's a first-person horror experience. It says survival in their description on the PSN store. Don't really see that myself personally. I think they were just trying to avoid the inevitable walking sim tag, but that is in my eyes where this one very much fits. You know, you're going to be seeing it alongside games like think Layers of Fear. Where it absolutely excels though is just in its setting, a remote hotel that's taken from Welsh folklore, and you know that isn't a theme we see all that often. Even the year itself, it's set in 1898. The idea though for the core game, you're heading to a hotel, you're out to save a loved one, but the owners, they were less than a little, let's say, savoury. Their empire is basically built around the idea of torture, slavery, piracy, and now the latest addition to the family, that is the supernatural that haunts this location. Your weapon, there's basically one, that is a sound device, and the fact your foes are then blind. It's unique, everything here around you, it moves. If you touch something, they know where you are. It's got some stunning music to reinforce that like Welsh folklore as well then, and to top it off, this new release features upgraded like graphics and a challenge mode where it tries to turn things almost into a first-person shooter. That mode definitely puts a lot of power in your hands, it takes the fear away honestly, but I still actually had some fun with it. The only reason it's coming in at number 5 on today's list, the enemy design, there's kind of a big focus on the same enemies, those with sacks on their heads. It gets just a little bit too repetitive by the end game and they for sure lose their edge. The Persistence then was a surprise hit for me. This was built originally for VR and it made a transition to the good old, you know, regular TV. Not a perfect transition, I'm going to put that out there up front. A few of the controls, they can feel just a little bit clunky, which makes sense, but the gameplay itself is still seriously intense. It's got a sci-fi setting, which, well, honestly, look, if I see sci-fi, you can basically count me in. And the story, it's got a good grasp on, this is the situation, this is why you must be quick, and let's get to work as you try not to panic. It's that kind of urgency that isn't always a focus for horror games that made for something that felt just a little bit more unique. The story though, you are on the Persistence, a ship, it's basically screwed, a black hole is about to swallow you whole, so now you need to restore power and get out of harm's way. The catch, the whole crew is dead, including yourself. You'll actually be a clone now facing what not only is a bit of a terrible situation, let's face it, but all sorts of mutants between you and the areas of the ship you need. That is what happened to the rest of the crew. Dialing up that pressure even more, then it is a roguelite as well, so if you die, it's going to be back to the beginning location. Though I will say this one, it has some nice little tricks up its sleeve to keep that progression kind of moving forward. You never feel like you're taking, you know, too far of a step backwards. This one, it's playable on PS4 and PS5, but this upgrade, it looks great. The initial release was nice, but it kind of, you know, lacked a little bit just because of its VR background. But here they took full use of the extra power on hand and delivered an experience that very much feels like it belongs on your TV. Observer then is a personal favourite, and this is out on PS5 currently. A PS4 release is lined up for July 2021. I loved this game. My first experience was actually over on the Switch before jumping into the PS5 edition as well. I know it has a few weaker reviews out there, but its personal brand of dystopian style Blade Runner science fiction horror was pretty much everything I could ever ask for. Throw in an incredible cast then, including Rutger Hauer, and the delivery of this story is just absolutely pinpoint perfect. It's a psychological horror, this one, and by far the trippiest experience on the list today, as it not only has real life world scenarios, but then it throws you into the minds of those alive and dead. You're exploring their memories, and what that means is it leads to some very cool effects because it leaves behind the restrictions a real world contains. You're basically experiencing the last moments, which for sure isn't fun, but imagine they've been dialed up to like 11. This one, I felt it had the best tension out of any of the games on today's list, as it shies away from that kind of jump scare methodology for something that I find absolutely more terrifying. In this one though, you're getting a call from your son, someone you've lost contact with. The relationship is clearly strained, but on arrival, he's nowhere to be found, and you do what any father would do, go on the hunt for them. kind of a common theme in today's list. You just also happen though to be a detective of sorts, known as observers, and you've got a whole host of gadgets available to you. It's kind of borderline walking sim, but I do feel it has a little bit more action than most. I just love the world though, it's so well realized, and while I can't speak to the upcoming PS4 edition, this absolutely demonstrates what the PS5 can do as it leverages all that extra power from ray tracing to the DualSense to of course that stunning 4K output. Dead by Daylight now, and yes, honestly, this definitely did not scare me. If the other games on the list are full on horror, this is the least scary, embracing something of a classic 80s almost horror vibe, but it's also by far the most fun you're going to have with any of these games. The idea here is it's an asymmetrical online experience, meaning 4 players are survivors, you need to work on generators and work together to escape. 1 player then controls a killer from a huge selection, including Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, and the most recent addition, Resident Evil's Nemesis. Stealth your way around though, power up these generators around the map and just basically get out, but try not to end up on a hook. That's where the killers get you. They're going to hang you, you're going to die very quickly. That's when you've got a problem. It's as simple as that though, honestly, but simple can be addictive, and that's very much how I find this one. At first it's a little nerve-wracking, but get comfortable and soon you'll just be having a laugh with friends. But it's got a great grasp on horror and kind of what its audience wants. You know, they just continue to update it and add more content, and the community as well, absolutely incredible. By far one of the nicest I've played with in the longest time. On the PS5 then, the patch was especially nice though, as it throws in 4K visuals, upgraded textures, but most of all an absolutely solid frame rates. So our final game of the video then, and I know it's obvious, but Resident Evil Village. This truly was a game that just kind of freaked me out. Its story, such a simple setup, it's the age old again, we've already covered this one twice, but here your daughter's been kidnapped, so it kind of latches onto that natural human instinct of saving someone you love. Throws you into this world though, taps you on the back and basically says good luck. I know many weren't sold on the whole vampire werewolf kind of world it portrayed, you know, no question a departure for the Resident Evil universe, but I actually really did like it, and I think it's just a demonstration that Resident Evil has so much untouched horror ahead of it that for the first time in a long time I'm actually unsure now what to expect from the next entry. It's been a good while since I could honestly say that. Visually then, it's about as good looking as they come, from enemy design through to the village itself, and it's just AAA production through and through. Entering the village, it just captures both this kind of like, think wow factor of this is too damn good looking, I want to explore everything, but then you have that voice at the back of your head saying, but be careful because everyone here wants to kill you. The first person gameplay though I really like. It's not a walking sim, you can sprint, you can shoot, it is full on action, but definitely don't come to this one if you're squeamish. It's definitely the most gory out of today's list, especially if you don't like mutilation, because Capcom seem to hate fingers. Buy it though, love it, it's a hell of an experience, and if you are a PS5 owner, just know this is an absolute demo disc if ever I have seen one. What horror games have you played though? What have I missed here today that's on the PS4 and PS5? I know there's not a huge amount crossing over both platforms just yet, but it seems like we're off to a very good start, so let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you think I should be checking out. With that then, like it, subscribe, join our growing PlayStation family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.